Go ahead and introduce yourself, G homie.
My conscious name that I've been going by with people I'm intimate with in prison in terms of camaraderie is Bomani Jaha. My handle from the hood and from the streets is Kleptomaniac from Mafia lanes.
So how long you been down?
I've been down on my second term for a little over 33 years.
33 years.
That's
a long time. And I just been speaking out about a lot of stuff with mental health and all this new stuff with 50-50 or whatever they calling it. When the first time you heard that term 50-50?
Well, the first time I heard that particular term for it, I've heard other terms for it, but I don't remember those names. Only name I remember making it official on 50-50 was around 98, 99.
98, 99. And when you first heard that term, what was it in reference to?
It was in reference to PHU inmates, which was the original term for SNY. It was called Protective Housing Unit. And that's where people went that had problems with inmates from the general population.
Okay, no, so when did the term 50-50 come around?
It came around in the late 90s that I can recall, because it was when certain people that were PHU were allowed to come back to a general population setting among general population inmates who were no longer political. So basically a soft prison, that they call soft prisons where there wasn't a lot of politics and there were a lot of old school cats that were just trying to lay low, but they had never went PC.
And in those situations, was it Hispanics on those yards?
Yes.
And those Hispanics on those yards, were they considered all bad by their race?
No, because the politics were a lot more flexible back then. Just like...
So even then, the Hispanics was able to go to those yards?
Yes, sir.
And you wasn't deemed all bad?
No.
Okay, so what about mental health? What was your first experience with mental health?
My first experience with mental health was in Pelican Bay SHU, 1993, September 1993. This is the anniversary of it. When they had a unit called VCU, the Violent Control Unit. And what that was a unit where all the worst of the worst would go. You couldn't have any property, you couldn't have any books, you could only have legal work and one Bible or one Quran, and you only had the change of clothes that you had on your back and one sheet.
And so, okay, so that was your first experience with mental health in prison, right? Is that your first experience with mental health in general?
Yes.
Yes.
In prison. And
No. In general.
Sorry. In general, no. I had some issues since I was like my earliest memory, 9 months old. You know, some shit that was like the poltergeist, but I'll go into details.
Right.
The Exorcist. You know, it's been a lifelong problem with me.
So this has been something that you've been suffering with
since infancy, literally.
Right. And all your homies that know you know about this, right?
The ones that I associated with well enough do, yeah. But otherwise, I'm a private person and kept most of it to myself. Right.
And so since you've been in prison, have homies and stuff like that, are they been aware of your mental health issues? Absolutely, right? Because you've been open as much as you need to be, so you wouldn't be a liability to other people, right? And
well, to be honest, if I can interject just briefly, what's important to understand with this, our actions dictate what people think of us. You know what I mean? Mostly, who the killers are, who's there, who does this, you know, based on our actions. And I was stabbing cops and coming to prison for attempted murder on cops and catching attempted murder on cops in prison and beating the life sentences because of the mental health thing. You know what I mean? Going to court and being found not guilty by reason of insanity, going to the state mental hospital, and all this for the work that I put in against cops. Those were the ones I was gangbanging with all the way from 18. So I was considered crazy based on the fact that I would stab a cop before I would stab an inmate over something that would seem insignificant.
Right.
So
because the cop is the enemy.
It was my
right?
enemy.
Right. Since how long you been EOP?
I was the first person. I was the first 75 people to ever become EOP because of the Violent Control Unit in Pelican Bay. My friend, who was a Norteño, who is now dropped out in SNY like me, his name is Alejandro Madrid. Anybody can look it up. It's the landmark case that changed the face of corrections since he did the civil suit. I was a part of that civil suit. All of us were in the Violent Control Unit. When the suit got picked up and they was filing it, all of us that was in VCU got picked up out of there and placed in a pilot program, the first EOP unit ever established in Pelican Bay, yes sir, in 1994. And all of us were in there. All of us that was a part of that case and was in VCU have had a permanent shoe exclusionary chrono in our folders and in our file, and most of us can't even go back to Pelican Bay because of being involved in that case, which opened up the whole parameter for California.
Was it Hispanics involved in that?
Yeah, Alejandro Madrid.
He's a Hispanic, okay, my bad, yeah.
He's a Norteño out of San Francisco. His nickname for the clique, his clique was called Cano.
And this was before it was any of that, any designation as far as,
right.
It was just PC and
right.
GP.
None of this before, well, there's still a designation for PHU, PC.
At that time. But even those dudes wasn't just, unless they told on somebody or had a bad case, they wasn't just all bad, right?
It wasn't just, well, it was like it wasn't much of a conversation piece because there were so few actual PCs.
Yeah.
And there was so lax between those going PC and coming back to GP without, I mean, if it's okay, I hate to say names, but to give a perfect example, it's Kevin Dykes, a homie from Foodtown or Treetop Power, Double OG. He's from Pyro out of Compton. Everybody know Kevin Dykes that knows anybody.
Okay, go ahead.
He was in PA. He was in a PHU, and then he came back, and he had the keys to the yard. When he came back, he got the keys. So, just to give you an indication of how loose it was, and depending on who the generals were, who the shot callers were. And so it was lax. It was lax depending on, you know what I mean, as long as you didn't do nothing to nobody's children or testify on nobody, those were basically the only aspects that prevented you from being to have that flexibility. If you testified on somebody or did something to somebody's kids, that was automatically you was ass out.
And you from an old school generation.
Yes, sir.
And
I'm 56.
It's safe to say that you ain't never turned down no fades. You ain't never testified on nobody. No. You ain't got no bad case, none of that, right? And you didn't get ran off the line, right?
No, I just left.
All right, guys, I'm going to end that clip there, man. That's OG from Mafia Lanes who decided by his own choice to leave that main line, and run a productive program. He broke down, mental health, PC, 50-50 yard, EOP yard, and how it came about. Out to the individual for the content. Y'all go check out his page as well. I'm out.